For more debates, updates and bonus content, sign up at thebigconversation.show. We are seeing in places like Japan, an elderly population increasingly being serviced by autonomous robots of some kind, and there being sort of at least companionship given by, algorithmic robots and so on. What again, Martin, is it just practically, do we just take a pragmatic view and say, well, if there aren't enough people to go around, that's the way we'll have to do it. We'll have to employ the services of robots that have a kind of quasi-human relationship with people. Or do you think we should actively strive to not go down that road, Martin?
Well, I think we should strive very hard not to. And of course, it'll be easier to avoid that route if we're prepared to have massive redistribution of funds so as to publicly support large numbers of people who will act as carers for the old and assistants to teachers to look after the young, etc. So I think we should try very, very hard to provide care for all who need it from real human beings. And this is in the interests of both those who might otherwise be unemployed if they're not sort of digitally expert. They've got to have some employment where being human is important. And also, I think it's more dignified for an individual to be looked after by another human being.
Why do you say it's more dignified? What is it about the human interaction that you can't replicate the dignity of with a robot?
Well, you think that there's an entity that really cares about you. And you're not convinced that that is the case for any of these robots.
So it's in that sense, it's feeling like you're interacting with someone who is like you and has the same sort of feelings and desires and compassion and so on. John, where does your kind of concern come from? Is it a similar place to Martin?
Well, I think it's very interesting, isn't it, that one of the fundamental drives we have as human beings, and from a Christian point of view, we would say this is part of our being created in God's image, is our desire and longing for truth. For authenticity, for meaning and significance. And therefore, however clever the simulation and the simulacrum, it is ultimately still a simulacrum. I've been doing a thought experiment, trying to get my head around this, and I was thinking, suppose I've been happily married for nearly 40 years. Suppose it turns out that my wife is actually a Russian agent in deep cover, and that unknown to me, she has her own handler and she's been playing this part for 40 years. Suppose I go to my grave and I never know that she actually was a double agent. Does it matter? Because I thought I had a happy marriage, I enjoyed the marriage. And actually, I think most of us would say, yes, it does matter, because we were living a lie. And it matters. Truth, authenticity matters, and that's why I think that gets at the heart of what Martin said about the dignity of being cared for. You think of this elderly person, perhaps slightly confused, who thinks that this program is genuinely cares about her and is there for her and is compassionate, and actually it's all clever programming. And intuitively we recoil and we say there's something wrong about that. There's something inauthentic. Could I just say something else about this question of, I often hear this narrative, and that is there are just not enough people to do the caring. And like Martin, I would totally want to push back against that. Because, of course, it is true that there is an acute shortage of carers in our community and across many Western countries. But the reason for that is that their terms and conditions, their pay, the way their status, the way they're treated, is that they're regarded as absolutely the bottom of the rung. And, there's no shortage of people wanting to do MBAs and wanting to become commercial lawyers and so on. And so the challenge we've got is to reimagine the human caring role as something to be regarded as with, as a high status, dignified, well trained, well paid job. And I think there are more than enough human beings to take on that job if we can only present it in that way.
Martin, go ahead.
I completely agree with that. And of course, those who are going to be displaced first by robotic advances are those in the mind-numbing jobs like call centres, and they need to be given some more fulfilling role, and among those roles would be carers.